Hey guys, welcome to the very first vlog series. What are we calling this?
K and G.
Oh yeah, K and G on Sundays?
Sunday mornings.
Sunday morning.
And G.
Okay, Sunday morning.
Yeah.
K, okay.
So you got my K mug?
I know, and I have to get mine too, so
yeah.
I'll get it next week. So this series is going to be about a lot of different things. So it's going to be about workouts. Sometimes we might do some nutrition stuff. I know that you're into baking some things too, so
the healthy way, yes.
Yeah.
Healthy treats.
So all this stuff is going to be predicated towards a lot of people, going towards their nutrition and their fitness goals. But today's first episode is that no one knows exactly who you are. So we're going to try to get to know you more.
And who doesn't want to get to know me more?
All right, so the very first question that I usually get for new athletes is, where did you start? Like, where did you come from in starting out your entire progression with just fitness and everything?
Yeah, I played soccer my whole life. I played college soccer at Northern Illinois University, go Huskies. Played soccer there for 4 years and really have just kept with that whole mindset and that structure of needing a goal to work toward.
Okay. And if you guys have seen my Instagram, GC Athletics, or if you follow us on Facebook or YouTube, you've seen a little bit of what Kate has been doing, in the past, and she just recently did a show. So going into that, how did you find me?
I found you actually locally through other resources within our area. Eventually, we basically were linked up through mutual connections.
We'll say that. We'll say that.
And then we kind of started our journey together. I didn't necessarily know what I was going to do. I knew I wanted to, again, set a goal, but wasn't exactly sure where that was going to take me. And I think we did a little bit of trial and error, and eventually we kind of came to the realization of I wanted to compete. So that's where Garrett has come in.
So there's a lot of previous competitors that I've coached that don't really have a athletic background, and Kate was strong. So there's a lot of cool things when you go from an athletic towards performance style of coaching, and that takes there's a lot of cool things that go into it. So like the first one, she's definitely coachable because she's been used to athletics her entire life. The second one too is that she's very consistent. So I didn't really have to worry about that consistency as much. It was actually about how much muscle that you had. I mean,
too much muscle.
What were you putting up for deadlifts? You were putting up at one point in your off season?
215, 220, right?
I mean, yeah, 2 plates in deadlifting. I'm not saying for females overall, but just overall, it's pretty badass.
Yeah.
So going into that, we had to almost narrow, you down a little bit. We had to get you a little bit leaner when it came to as much mass that you had on your body.
Really focus on proportion.
Correct. So what do you think during the prep was the hardest thing to do? Was it your workout, or was it the fluctuation of your new nutrition?
For me, it was definitely not the workout. I'm used to having those structured routines. It was definitely more looking at what I was eating on a day-to-day basis, and then again making sure I was hitting those macros, because for me it was an entirely new world. Like the macro world, I didn't even know what that was. Fats, proteins, carbs. I'm like, the whole makeup of that was something that was very new to me. So I really had to take time and essentially break down what I was eating. And completely start again from scratch. Not that I, eat necessarily unhealthy things all the time. It was just more of a fact of how we structured our meal.
Correct. Yeah. So we have the structuring is one thing, but also what I get compared to other coaches is, other coaches will give very specific dietary plans,
restrictions.
A lot, and not only that, it might be foods that some of you guys don't want to eat.
Right.
So how do you think that your nutrition was just overall and going into, your very first competition taste-wise and variety-wise?
That's a great question, and I think that is a huge factor that many people do not consider when looking for a coach, especially when you're looking to go prep and get on stage, is understanding, everybody can eat certain foods, clean foods, and, eventually get to a goal. But if you're restricting yourself so much in that entire process, you're setting yourself up for failure in the end. Right. So for me, it was much more of, I had to change some of the foods I was eating, but we still were able to put things in there. We both know how much I like peanut butter. I didn't want to give that up.
I mean, peanut butter is pretty impressive. Like, who doesn't like peanut butter?
Very true. Very true. But I didn't want to give something like that up. So you made it my plan in a way that was flexible enough to be able to meet the needs that I wanted, but also getting to my goal at the same time.
Right.
That was a huge factor in me really committing to this process, I would say too.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so going into some of the final questions, psychologically,
yes.
during prep, and this goes for everybody that I've coached too, psychologically it's very demanding. So if you think that you want to compete, that's great, but you also have to be very, very headstrong. So going into this phase of the prep, psychologically, how do you think that how do you do, or how'd you do?
I think it was a new type of psychological factor that we had to really understand. I should say we, but I didn't understand, but you helped me along the way understand. Yeah, because with sports, coming from a sports background, we all know the mental part is so big when performing at the top in certain athletics. Right. But from a bikini or competition prep standpoint, the physical part is important, the nutrition part is important, but the mental part of truly sticking to your overall routine can be the most demanding.
Yeah, and I like what you said about routine.
Yes.
Because if you're not on a routine, I don't think you succeed, even if you have the best coach too. No. So that's where I try to come in a little bit too. I try to be as communicative as possible, making sure that you're not alone at some circumstances. Even if it comes to month 1 or you're in month 3, things like that, it doesn't mean that you should be doing things alone. There's a lot of people too that go into these competitions and there's families, their friends, they just really don't understand what you're doing. And it's really good to have a support cast around you that understand exactly what your needs and your goals are. Because they've done that to you,
at all hours.
And you experienced that.
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
But at all hours too, because there are plenty of times when it's 9:30 at night, I'm like, Garrett.
Yeah.
What am I doing with this? I need help. Help me with this, Yeah. And also, just exactly what he's saying from a support standpoint, a lot of times people do not understand the whole process of what you're going through. There are a lot of, I would say, small sacrifices that you have to make when you are prepping.
It's time consuming.
Yes, it is time consuming, but also, from a social family, there are some sacrifices you have to make. Yeah. But once they eventually get on board with what you are doing, you just feel a huge sense of support in general.
Sure.
And I mean, obviously got the support from you, but getting it from my family was even bigger for me, especially when you have to sit down and explain to them what your goals are.
That's easily like the most awkward thing. My parents even say like, "Are you gonna wear like swim trunks and are you gonna see your stuff?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, just watch what I do. But again, too, a lot of people don't understand, the scenario. But once they actually go to your show, I think that's when everything, goes out the window.
Yes, I completely agree, and I think that they're able to see a completely different world as you're experiencing it.
Sure.
I think that's kind of a cool experience too, right?
Yeah.
You're experiencing new things together, and ultimately, I personally really do believe that for me getting up on stage and having my family there, I wouldn't have done that if they weren't there. I really needed that support system. Obviously, having you there was good.
I wasn't gonna say anything. I was thinking.
Yes, of course you were.
But when it comes to, so now let's talk about, so you were at the show, and she actually did a show in Illinois. So that was different too, because that was your very first show. You're out of state, a lot of traveling. So if you guys are thinking about competing or even have any questions about it, I would definitely be a good resource on what type of shows you want to do. And typically too, if it's going to be your first one, it should be a smaller show. So Kate did a rather smaller show as well. So overall, it's a great experience. You're gonna do a local show, so that's gonna be 10 times easier for you. And then, but after the fact, now we're talking about, a lot of people say that prep is the hardest. I actually don't believe in that. But prep, what we talked about for routine-based style, is really advantageous. But after your prep, a lot of people rebound. So what rebounding means is that, they'll overeat, they'll kind of get off their nutrition schedule, and they don't care. Like they don't really care about, their prep anymore because they're done. So going into this phase, that's what Kate's doing right now. And
Reverse dieting.
explain your reverse dieting. Why it's so important? Because I preach it all the time.
Yes, it is. And I think many YouTubers preach it all the time.
Yeah. You never see it though.
Yeah. Well, no, there are some, but there's not as much. The research is not.
Yeah.
You have to find the right research.
Everybody wants to see everybody tan and shredded.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so much more to it. But from a personal perspective, I worked my tail off, and I was so even worried before I even stepped on stage. I'm like, oh my God, what do I do after the show? Like, I'm not going to go back to what I was before.
Yeah.
And the reverse diet, especially the 3 weeks, 3 to 4, maybe 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be your 4th week.
4th week,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
4 weeks after the show are incredibly crucial and incredibly important. And essentially what you're doing in those weeks as you're analyzing, well, Garrett is basically doing it all for me, but analyzing your macro count and then slowly adjusting and adding macros back in on a weekly basis.
All right, so very last question.
All right.
Okay,
Hit
so
me with it.
on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being amazing, 1 being like, Garrett, I don't even know why you're here.
I ask myself that a lot.
I want you to explain how your prep was from start to finish. So from like day 1 to when you got on stage. Psychologically, nutrition and physical too during your, during the entire course.
Well, if I have to give you a grade, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, I truly would give a 9.5.
Okay.
Now,
all right.
That's
I like that. No, I like that.
Good grade.
I like that. I thought I was gonna get like maybe like 9. I think that's as high as you would go.
Yeah, normal 9.
I like this. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But again, that is a very good grade, and I'm going to stress that because from the research that I've done and from just talking with and hearing from other competitors, there have been some really, really hard processes that they have gone through.
Yeah.
And I kind of compare that to the prep that I went through, and I did not have, I would say even 75% of those experiences that they had, the bad ones, I did not have that.
Yeah.
There was one day during my entire prep in which I really felt bad, and let's be honest, Pedialyte came to my rescue, and actually
that's right.
they had banana.
Yeah, the banana too.
Banana, God, do not underestimate a banana. But ultimately, like I said, like a 9.5, because I will say this, and I will continue to say this, it is incredibly important to have a good coach when you're doing a process like this. And making sure the coach understands the science behind the body as much as they're paying attention to what your body's going through too.
Yes.
Because the science behind it is really what you, basically how you ensure that your body responds the right way to everything they were going through.
Yeah, cookie cutter things is one thing, but understand exactly how your body fluctuates to, even different food types for you.
Right.
It's not going to be the same as someone else. So again, if you guys have any questions about the things that we've talked about, if you want to ask Kate a question, things like that, because remember, she was new. That's a great experience. So if you guys are just thinking or questioning what, if you want to do it, just comment down below and we can definitely talk to you about what stage that you want to get into. So that's gonna be our very first episode. That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad. Yeah, now I gotta get my mug. So I'm gonna get my mug.
You need it.
Alright, let's do it.